The Battle of Chaldiran or Chaldoran, Persian, Turkish, Çaldırان, occurred on August 23, 1514 and ended with a victory for the Ottoman Empire over the Safavid Empire. As a result, the Ottomans gained immediate and permanent control over far eastern Anatolia and northern Iraq, as well as temporary control of northwestern Iran. The battle, however, was just the beginning of 41 years of destructive war and merely one of the many phases of the Ottoman-Persian Wars, which only ended in 1555 with the Treaty of Amasya. The Ottomans generally had the upper hand, but the Persians for the most part held their ground. Safavid losses in Shia-dominated metropolitan regions of Persia, such as Luristan and Kermanshah, proved temporary, being eventually recovered from the Ottomans, but important Persian cities such as Tabriz were often the target of destructive Ottoman raids. An exception was Azerbaijan, which although eventually taken back from the Ottomans, would centuries later be permanently lost to the Russian Empire in the 19th century. At Çaldıran, the Ottomans had a larger, better equipped army numbering 60,000 to 200,000, while the Kızılbaş Turkomans numbered some 40,000 to 80,000. Shah Ismail I, who was wounded and almost captured in the battle, retired to his palace and withdrew from government administration after his wives were captured by Selim I, with at least one married off to one of Selim's statesmen. The battle is one of major historical importance because it not only negated the idea that the Murshid of the Shia Kızılbaş was infallible, but it also fully defined the Ottoman-Safavid borders for a short time, with the Ottomans gaining northwestern Iran, and led Kurdish chiefs to assert their authority and switch their allegiance from the Safavids to the Ottomans. After Selim I's successful struggle against his brothers for the throne of the Ottoman Empire, he was free to turn his attention to the internal unrest he believed was stirred up by the Shia Kızılbaş, who had sided with other members of the dynasty against him and had been semi-officially supported by Bayezid II. Selim now feared that they would incite the population against his rule in favor of Shah Ismail, leader of the Shia Safavids, and by some of his supporters believed to be family of the Prophet. Selim secured a jurist opinion that described Ismail and the Kızılbaş as unbelievers and heretics, enabling him to undertake extreme measures on his way eastward to pacify the country. In response, Shah Ismail accused Sultan Selim of aggression against fellow Muslims, violating religious sexual rules and shedding innocent blood. When Selim started his march east, the Safavids were invaded in the east by the Uzbek state recently brought to prominence by Abu Ifath Muhammad, who had fallen in battle against Ismail only a few years before. To avoid the prospect of fighting a war on two fronts, Ismail employed a scorched earth policy against Selim in the west. The terrain of eastern Anatolia and the Caucasus is extremely rough, and combined with the difficulty in supplying the army in light of Ismail's scorched earth campaign while marching against Muslims, Selim's army was discontented. The Janissaries even fired their muskets at the Sultan's tent in protest at one point. When Selim learned of the Safavid army forming at Çaldıran, he quickly moved to engage Ismail, in part to stifle the discontent of his army. The Ottomans deployed heavy artillery and thousands of Janissaries equipped with gunpowder weapons behind a barrier of carts. The Safavids used cavalry to engage the Ottoman forces. The Safavids attacked the Ottoman wings in an effort to avoid the Ottoman artillery positioned at the center. However, the Ottoman artillery was highly maneuverable and the Safavids suffered disastrous losses. The advanced Ottoman weaponry was the deciding factor of the battle, as the Safavid forces, who only had traditional weaponry, were decimated. The Safavids also suffered from poor planning and ill-disciplined troops, unlike the Ottomans. Following their victory, the Ottomans captured the Safavid capital city of Tabriz, which they first pillaged and then evacuated. The Ottoman Empire successfully secured permanent control over the far eastern part of Anatolia and also over northern Iraq, and temporary control over northwestern Iran. The Shia defeat at Çaldıran brought an end to the Shia uprisings in Ottoman Empire. After two of his wives were captured by Selim, Ismail was heartbroken and resorted to drinking alcohol. Ismail did not participate in government affairs 23 as his aura of invincibility was shattered. After the defeat at Çaldıran, however, the Safavids made drastic domestic changes. From then on, firearms were made an integral part of the Persian armies, and Ismail's son, Tahmasp I deployed cannons in subsequent battles. After the victorious Battle of Chaldiran, Selim I would then throw his forces southward to fight the Mamluk Sultanate in the Ottoman-Mamluk War, 1516–1517. Battlefield. The site of the battle is near Kala Ashaki village, around 6 kilometers west of the town of Siyah-Cheshmeh, south of Maku, north of Kariziaddin. A large brick dome was built at the battlefield site in 2003 along with a statue of Sayyid Sadruddin, one of the main Safavid commanders. After the battle, Selim, referring to Ismail, believed that his adversary was always drunk to the point of losing his mind and totally neglectful of the affairs of the state.